Okay, we're moving on to the fifth set. Going to be HoeJJa versus Fantasy on match point. Now, I haven't seen a whole lot of Zerg players win against Terran on this map. It's usually when the Terran goes for a mech build, like Flash against HoeJJa or something in the OSL, is when a Zerg player gets a win on this map. But this is a very balanced map. I think one of the most balanced maps today, aside from Fighting Spirit as the closer, if we get to the closer. But HoeJJa's an interesting player because he's definitely in my top 5, maybe top 3 Zerg players, but he hasn't been doing too well recently. It's just his innovation is what I admire. His innovation made him the king of destination with his like Zergling burrow, like unburrow and sneak past the minerals build. That was wacky. And he's done a lot of other interesting stuff with burrow. So it'd be nice to see him show off his innovation again. But he certainly wasn't able to do that in the last Pro League final when he went up against Light on Judgment Day, and that was just a slaughter, absolute slaughter. So hopefully he plays a little bit better here against Fantasy on this map. Here we go. Looks like we're getting ready to start. It's a 2-player map, and I've seen a lot of games on this map. This map is probably going to be used for a long time. Here we go. I'll get the colors and positions. Then pass it off to Ranchin. Okay, up at the 2 o'clock position in blue is HoeJJa. Plucky hero HoeJJa was what I like to call him. And down at the 8 o'clock position, oh boy, is Fantasy, who was the big ace player in the last Pro League final, got 3 wins in all of his 3 games, 2 of them against J-Dog. And, okay, I said I was going to do this in the commentary, so I'll end with this. Kaboom, baby!
Woohoo! Overtime! Right. Anyway, StarCraft 2 reference, StarCraft 2 reference, StarCraft 2 reference. Someone predicting 4-1 there. We're going to see whether they're right. Because right now, T1 up against the wall, facing the firing squad, and still Flash to go. So they're saving Flash for the killing blow in the 6th set. It would make no sense whatsoever to not do that and to not play him there, except wait for the closer or the finisher or the ace match or whatever. But really Fantasy needs to bring the win here. This is a Terran favorite map. Zerg just try to expand too far, kind of often end up kind of spreading themselves too much against a Terran player and just allowing them to eventually just take advantage of that. And Terran can kind of safely expand into his mineral only off these 3 bases, stay on that. So whether you go for mech or go for standard stuff, you can still win. Nice little picture there of Fantasy. Just blowing in the breeze or something. The explosion behind him. Blam.
Kaboom.
Shockwave. Kaboom, baby. But it's what's he going to say if he wins. He's going to point his opponent, point with his finger, do like a bam, and go kaboom, baby.
Yes.
And finally, a girl on camera that's not shy just waves her hand and goes, "Sup, I'm a celebrity, I rock."
Yes. And the immortal words of Brian Collins, and boom goes the dynamite. Yes. So the second base is coming up for HoeJJa, and I'll be interested to see what HoeJJa goes for on this map. As I said, he is known for his innovation, but I can't really do this on this 2-player map. I think Fantasy is going to be the innovative one here. He always goes for such wacky builds anyways. And on this map in particular, I think he's going to be able to display that. I want to know if Fantasy is going for a mech build or not. That'll be so interesting to see. He hasn't taken his refinery yet, so he could be just starting it off or staying with standard medic and marine, which can be powerful on this map, but usually the Terran players will go for some kind of a modified mech build, whether it be for Valkyries, maybe Bio-Valk, something like that. But yes, I find it so interesting that they're saving Flash up. I mean, just the last possible moment. We could have to wait until the ace match to see Flash because they are saving him up. But now it looks like HoeJJa is coming in. HoeJJa wasn't exactly the most clutch player in the last Pro League finals, as I've said, and he hasn't been very clutch for them recently in any games. I mean, he used to be so much better than he is right now. I'm not sure exactly what happened to HoeJJa. Maybe it's just a string of bad luck. But HoeJJa already has his lair morphing at his natural expansion, And let's see if he devotes to like 2-hatch muta or something like that to throw Fantasy off with some early aggression. But Fantasy, as you can see, he got the permanent tattoo. Oh, is the tattoo already off of Best? I don't see his tattoo. It looks like he might have already peeled that off. I'm not exactly sure, but maybe he sweated it off. Just sweated off his tattoo. But Fantasy sticking to a pretty standard opening so far.
Yeah, last word out there to put out there. One thing. I fully think that T1 expected Flash on this map. Terran flavored map. Flavored, yeah. Terran favored map. Flavored Terran, yum. But, yeah. Fully expected because Fantasy, Bisu's down. Best is down. Fantasy, the last guy on the roster they could fully trust to take down Flash. Flash is not out there. So, if Fantasy win this, it's going to go down to HoeJJa to beat Flash. And if that does not nail the coffin for T1, I don't know what will, because I am sorry. Flash might be slumping or something. He might not be quite at his best. But losing against HoeJJa in a pressure situation is not something I expect Flash to do. So, yeah, think on those words. Never mind the match. Yeah, just let's go back to this match now that's happening right now. But think about that. Meanwhile, the fact that Fantasy, Bisu, and Best have already played, and Flash is facing up against neither of them in the 6th set. So anyway, yeah, standard play here for the most part. Do see the 3rd hatch at the mineral only. So smart play here from HoeJJa, not being greedy. Very smart play. Sometimes these Zergs just go straight up to the low right-hand position. Is going to expand there anyway. But at the very least, this time he has a little bit more of a resupply, and he can more forces in at the 9, have some forces there, run to the low right-hand if he finds that in trouble. And we might be seeing some tanks come up. I find usually that go for straight-up SK, Terran, only Medic Marines, and Science Vessels not as strong on this map as adding tanks, because you can really siege that natural expo with tanks on the low ground, take it out without any too much trouble, without facing too much resistance from that position. But Fantasy can stay off these 2 bases safely for now. Still doesn't have his 2nd refinery up, just working on forces on 2 barracks. Just going to work upwards towards that. Going to start getting his turrets up soon. And just work on that. But overall, mostly standard. But HoeJJa is getting an additional mining base. So he's kind of spreading himself out and hoping to hold Fantasy in with nothing but his mutas right now. But Fantasy looks like he's going to get his turrets up in time. Remember a time when Fantasy pretty much could not trust in his Medic Marine control to defend back home. But now he's really, in the last year, improved his Medic Marines. Back in the day, he needed Valkyries or something like that. But now he can finally trust in his Medic Marine control alongside the turret to make sure that he can fight off, because as a player he has steadily improved over the last 2 years, I must say.
Yes, you brought up an interesting point, 2 interesting points actually. Fantasy did used to have a relatively mediocre Medic and Marine control, and we saw players like Jaedong take advantage of that with his unveiling his Queen build, saying, well, I feel safe enough, I'll just go for some wacky Queen build with Ensnare and take down all of Fantasy's troops. But Fantasy has improved a lot as far as that goes, so I think we're going to see him display some excellent Medic and Marine micro. And another point you brought up is that SKT1 is running out of players. I think this could be KT's plan right now, just to make them expend all of their good players, because you're right, the only player they have left is HoeJJa. I can't think of really anyone else that they would be able to throw out. And, of course, KT still has Flash, and if it goes to an ace match, they'll have Flash again for the ace. Probably Flash. It was on Fighting Spirit, so I'd say yes, they'd probably throw out Flash on that. So KT is looking much, much better here, even if they lose this set. So, yeah, some smart planning, I think, by the KT coaches. Let's see if HoeJJa can lock this down, though. HoeJJa, very focused. You can always tell he's a very, very focused player. And he can win this for his team right now by taking down Fantasy. But let's see if his mutalist control is going to be strong enough to do that. He's trying to whittle down the forces a bit. He's probably looking for an opportunity to snipe a medic or two, but he doesn't see it just yet, just hovering around, doing his best as far as that goes. And he does have the 4th base up, and holding this is going to be difficult, because throwing down that 4th base expended a lot of minerals that he wasn't able to use to build units. So it is going to be difficult to hold this back with minimal units. But if he holds this push back from Fantasy, he's going to be in a much, much better position, being 2 bases over Fantasy. So all he's got to do is just hold back the push to the best of his ability.
Yeah, but he's taking some heavy Muta damage right here. Fantasy really showing his improved Medic Marine control here. He's picked off several Mutalists right now. There, yet another one dies. I think it's like the 5th. Oh, and getting caught from the left side as well. But, oh my god, there was a huge number of Mutalists went down. He has reinforcements. Bisu sitting there like, and a dude with a fro right next to him.
See over your
Everybody has a fro these days. But, yeah, HoeJJa at the very least holding for now, getting an evo up, so it does look like he's going to transition to lurkers. Lurkers gets up, if he gets up them soon, if he gets them up there soon, right now, get him up there to defend. He might be able to hold this off and stay on these two, but meanwhile on the opposite side, 2 starports coming up for Fantasy, so Wraith here, this is going to be extremely interesting, might be trying to take advantage of the fact that his opponent is so spread out, so maybe try to go for even a dual harassment. Still doing a great job of kicking Marines alive. Zerglings coming in, but unfortunately not utilizing the Zerglings and Mutas together well enough to whittle down that force. Has Carapace 1 upgrades on the Mutas, but they're still all dying, falling down like flies. Like as if, like right now, yeah, flies against someone that has one of those electric fly killers. But I think finally this time around, he's finally gonna be able to, yeah, whittle this down. Too many Mutas, but also that many Mutas means that HoeJJa is not gonna have enough. And anything else is gonna have to be make sure you can do something with
science
this.
vessel.
Science facility. Yeah, okay, there is gonna be double science. I was thinking like, what the hell he's gonna do? But just gonna go for very standard double science vessel. All these 2 bases. Fantasy's gonna want to expand to the minute only soon enough, but on the opposite side, already Queen's Nest being worked on, of course, on 4th bases, still has the mining, has them fully saturated, while Fantasy can start working on his additional barracks, work on his upgrades, work on his science vessels, and hopefully just go and push into his opponent. HoeJJa right now just has to kind of stay in there, make sure he keeps control in the air, control on the ground, get the lurkers out there, hold Fantasy back, stick on these 4, wait until he gets the tech and gets the army. And then he's going to be able to really fight Fantasy here.
Yeah, HoeJJa definitely has a chance to take down Fantasy. Since he's 2 bases over now, he has a much stronger economy. The more this game goes on, the bigger the advantage he's going to have, as long as he keeps Fantasy from taking his 3rd base, which it doesn't look like Fantasy's intent to do just yet. I don't see him throwing down his 3rd base anywhere. So he's trying to get just the Marine micro to take down these Mutalisks. And as long as HoeJJa doesn't allow too many Mutalisk kills, I mean, he's going to have to switch away from Mutalisk soon enough. It looks like he already has his Hydralisk out, going to switch away soon, already getting in his hive, morphing his hive in. So as long as he gets away from Mutas, he should be able to fend this off too. He's mostly focusing on his Mutas right now because I don't see any lurkers in position to take down these Medic and Marines. I saw the Hydralisk earlier just wandering around. But these Mutas are going to die to an Irradiate and the Surround. There's the Irradiate. Let's see if HoeJJa can get rid of the infected Muta. He doesn't. Oh, man. Took him a long time to get that out of the group, so those Mutas are badly damaged and probably won't be able to get much else done. But here come the lurkers. Thankfully for HoeJJa, he does have lurkers on the way. And these lurkers will be... that's the only way he's going to be able to defend. He doesn't have anything else now. He can't focus on Mutas or anything else, so... Oh, he's going to have to fight back this huge push from Fantasy going straight towards that 5 o'clock.
Nothing there to defend for HoeJJa, though. Only a few Zerglings. Lurkers on the way. No Nidus. No Nidus Canal. We're going to see what the Fantasy has to rush there. Has Science Cells to support, of course. 5 Lurkers are going to come in here just in time. Is it going to be enough? Irradiate's coming up on those Lurkers already. 2 Science Cells. Huge support here. But the Lurkers a little bit split up now. Finally grouped up close to that. So Fantasy might be forced to back off. Has some forces here from the back. Going to see where the HoeJJa might manage to get a nice pincer in. Fantasy going to try to back off. Consolidate his forces. Zerglings. Lurkers going to come in close. He might take a huge amount of damage here. Taking some of these Lurkers. Splitting some of his forces up. Going to lose a lot of his forces. But somehow still managing to pick up at least some of the opposing forces, but still, oh man. I don't know why it came out like that, but man, he lost a lot in there. Kept his medics alive, fought back, but lost a lot of his forces. That attack at the lower right hand completely failed. Did have a dropship in there, going to move on to the upper right hand position. If he had a siege tank here, would be a lot more useful, but he's just sticking to SK Terran, just science vessels and medic marines. 2 dropships out there, going to hope to get a nice drop in, maybe on that lower right, maybe on the main, not quite sure. But it does seem like he's scanning the location, killing off some overlords and getting ready for that. Gonna expand towards the 9 o'clock finally. Fantasy is fighting from behind, though, at this point. Nice control overall from HoeJJa. Did lose all of his Mutalisks. Unfortunately, despite all the resources he put in, didn't take some quite heavy losses there, but still gonna be fighting back. One dropship goes down. Not quite sure that was loaded up.
Yeah, it was.
Don't think it was. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
Might have been loaded up, but still at some damage. And also, he knows about this drop. Going to take Fantasy a little bit of time to elevate all these forces. Meanwhile, going to go heal all those irradiated lurkers. Going to go for an attack here at the 9. Bunch of them going down before he managed to do too much. But meanwhile, his main's going to get threatened. The Defiler Mound might go down. Lurkers are going to try to come here. But even more drops going to come in. Fantasy at the very least going to try to take down Defiler Man before he loses everything. You think he might have enough Lurkers ripping everything he has to pieces, but he is going to have enough to take down Defiler Mound. Every little second to delay those Defilers is a critical moment here from Fantasy. Every single moment to delay that Consume. The Consume might not have been ready, and if it wasn't, that even bigger delay and might just help Fantasy slowly but surely maybe get back into the game, but is still fighting from a bad position.
Yeah, he does have his third base up now, and sniping that Defiler is so critical because I don't think Consume was done yet. I think the building is just morphed in, so it's going to take even longer for that. Oh, man, some nice Science Vessel snipes, though, taking out all but 2. So if HoeJJa does more plays like that, he's definitely going to stay in this game, but he needs Defilers, he needs Dark Swarm as soon as possible, and he finally has his Defiler rebuilt, getting Consume research going again. And his drone saturation actually isn't that high. I was looking at all of his bases, and only a few drones mining at each of the bases, even though he has 4, is still not mining very much, been committing mostly to troops, it seems. But okay, here comes HoeJJa trying to get into the middle, looking for a Science Vessel to snipe, doesn't find it. And Fantasy is pushing right into the natural expansion. Let's see if he goes up the ridge or not. I'm not sure if he's going to push that or not. Another Science Vessel going down. It's a nice snipe by HoeJJa. KTF Magicians, that's an old, very old banner that guy was holding up. Magical Ends. I like their old nickname, but Rolster works good enough. Roly Rolster. So, okay.
At least it's not Finger Boom.
Yeah, Finger Boom. That was epically bad, but anyways, let's see how HoeJJa Finger Boom does against Fantasy now that he has a 4th base up and looking like he's already trying to expand at the 12 o'clock position. If that isn't just a scout, I saw an SDV up there. It might just be to scout if HoeJJa is taking that base. But HoeJJa, he's letting this game slip out of his fingers now. That snipe of the Defiler Mound might just be costing him this game right now. And look at this drone saturation. Not very good.
Yeah, really just critical snipe there from Fantasy. It feels like it just broke up HoeJJa's entire game plan. Like at this point in the game, I was thinking, all right, at this point in the game, I'm going to have Defilers, I'm going to have Consume, going to have Dark Swarms all over the place, going to be able to plague his entire Science Vessel fleet, and I'm just going to inch forward, force him back into his home position, and just pick off outlying expansions that he tries to pick up, make sure he can't do that. But now Fantasy, despite losing some Science Vessels, still gets a lot of irradiates off, picking up all the Lurkers, also picking up Defilers, still has a nice force, and I like the fact that he's not going for tanks. Generally on this map, you do see tank play because really nice to take advantage of that. Do see a Dark Storm come off, so Fantasy going to be forced to back off a little bit here. But I really liking the fact that he's not going for tanks. Zerg is coming in from the back and trying to go for a massive pincer. Second Dark Swarm going to come down. Fantasy just doing a nice job of trying to microing, sacrificing a few of his medics there under a Dark Swarm. But then he's trying to micro back. Fireball at the front going to get taken out. So actually huge amount of cracklings just running up to those. And we're going to see some Lurkers on top behind there to try to take advantage of that. But look at those Medic Breeze just fighting on top of that ramp. The Alamo, screw your Alamo. This is no Alamo. I kill you. So he might actually do a little bit of damage here at the low right-hand position. He has some Marines in there. At the very least, forced to make sure there's no saturation. Going to take down the Hydra Den, most likely. So nice play here from Fantasy. Yeah, I was complimenting his lack of tank play because really he could just reinforce much quicker that way. Make sure he always has enough resources for Science Vessels. Just get 2 at a time, 2 at a time, 2 at a time. So even if he loses half of his fleet, he's going to have reinforced. He's going to always have 4 to 8 Science Vessels out there. Finally going to get this attack.
Hatchery.
Go right and stuff that takes down the hatchery though. So clutch as well from Fantasy. So he, meanwhile, gets reinforcements all across the board. Has fire bets in there. Eraser tricking all over this mineral only. Look at those drones crying for the Overlord, but he does not answer because he's dead.
So he gets the eraser trick from Fantasy, and he's just tightening the noose now. He's going to do the eraser trick of this natural expansion, which is the second only mining base now from HoeJJa. Just lost all of his drones at the third base. Now Fantasy already moving in. D-Matrix Firebat, of course. A very, very standard build to go for D-Matrix Firebats. So the Firebats working down that hatchery, and this hatchery is going to die. Well, this hive is going to die. It's another Eraser Trick inside the main. HoeJJa just completely crumpled. He has nothing. Oh, he's going for a counterattack at the same time. I think this might be a little bit too late, because it looks like Fantasy is devoted mostly to Firebats. Some nice vessel sniping, too. Taking down another one, but this attack might have just been too late. Another D-Matrix Firebat, of course. Let's see how many Firebats he can D-Matrix in this game. Firebats everywhere. And nothing to defend the main. So HoeJJa, that was a valiant effort from him in the later parts of this game, but he's going to lose that again. GG from plucky hero HoeJJa. Gotta love Firebats.
Yeah, just, back home, just needed to spawn a bunch of Firebats from all of his barracks, and he had that. Nothing but cracklings. No chance at any point for HoeJJa to get past Awaretech units aside from his defilers. So Fantasy, keeping him in this, of course, pretty much has kind of become T1's ace lately. But they're gonna be regretting the fact that Bisu did not get a win in a PvP, because now they got Flash to face up against. And that's going to be kind of hard when all you got to take him down is...
Give me your clothes.